One mind said go, and one mind said don't go. At age 16, St. Julian of Bombardopolis, Haiti took the biggest risk of his life. His uncle, the captain of a boat headed for the United States, offered him a place on the boat. He just needed to show up at the dock 15 miles away. St. Julian was tired of going to bed hungry. He hated to beg. He looked around him and saw his parents and everyone else in his rural village struggling every day to simply survive. The country was in political upheaval after a military coup. He kept asking himself, what is a way out? The boat felt like the way. He knew that many, if not most people, died in the water. He also knew that just as many, if not more, died in Haiti from violence and starvation. He waited so long battling the two minds that he almost missed the boat. He was the last one on, only after getting special permission from the owner. 14 hours later, his boat was met by the American Coast Guard, and surprisingly, they were not turned back. Most of the people were taken to Guantanamo Bay, including St. Julian. His uncle, however, was sent back, leaving St. Julian on his own to make a way in a new land. He was sent to Lansing, Michigan, where he lived for 1 year in a foster home, and then a group home for teenage boys. School was hard, but he did not mind. He had been given a way forward, and he was grateful for the people who were supporting him in this new life. One day he was with a group of teenage boys in the Detroit area on a trip. As teenagers do, they had been looking around them and copying the styles when a woman came up to them and said sternly, "Young men, pull up your pants and turn your hats around." St. Julian, remembering the teaching and discipline of his own mother, immediately obeyed her while the others went on their way. Not long after this episode, St. Julian asked his caseworker if there was any way for him to leave the peer pressure of the group home and be in a foster home instead. The caseworker gave him a name and address and told him, "They don't take in older children, but they've agreed to meet you." He went to the house, nervous and hoping for the best. Imagine his surprise when it was the woman from Detroit who opened the door. Because of his obedience those weeks before, Mrs. Eskew made the exception for St. Julian. God had once again made a way where there seemed to be no way. For the next 4 years, he lived with that family, and they accepted him as their own son. They taught him, keep your culture, help your family, don't forget where you came from. Not long after moving in with his family, he was riding the school bus and was mistaken for someone who had been causing trouble. Another teenager wanted to fight him, and he felt trapped. Suddenly, another Haitian teenager who St. Julian had never met stood up and said, "If you want to fight him, you'll have to fight me." Quickly, the other man stood down. St. Julian made a new friend that day. Pierre invited St. Julian to his house soon after, and his mom, Yvette, cooked wonderful Haitian food for him. They would have him over for dinner and treated St. Julian like family. They were a strong Christian family and understood St. Julian's desire to help his family back in Haiti. Once again, God had sent a way for St. Julian to do the good he wanted to do. He says, "They were my mountain to give me strength and encouragement." Eventually, St. Julian graduated from high school and attended Lansing Community College for 2 years. Though he wanted to continue, he also knew he wanted to support his family back in Haiti. He had been working part-time and sending as much as he could, but he knew they needed more food and school. He quickly found a full-time job where he has been working ever since. In 2004, St. Julian became a United States citizen. He is now married with 2 young boys, and they are in the process of buying their first home. He often thinks about all the people who helped him along the way, and he says, "I'm not going to stop for nobody. Doing something for somebody else brings more happiness than doing it for myself."